Good evening everybody, Cam Biker here. Just on a quick ride just to check out my new levers. Make sure everything feels alright. Feels pretty good. Quite pleased with them. A bit of adjustment maybe. I managed to solve the problem of the end of the lever hitting the bar end. It turns out it's just about the angle when you've got it adjusted, and when it's adjusted out it's not so bad. It's when you've got it really close. So if you were to get these type of levers and you've got teeny tiny hands, you might have a problem. But apart from that, pretty good. Seem to work alright. Haven't broken yet. They have only had about 5 minutes of usage, mind you. But you know, they've not snapped. That's the main thing. Off we go again. So I thought while I'm out checking these levers are alright and enjoying the damp and diesely roads, I'll do a quick vloggeroony. And I thought I'm going to do a vloggeroony about something that Mrs. C pointed out to me the other day. She saw an advert on the TV. Now before I get into what the advert was, and I've not seen it on the TV, but we looked it up on the internet and it turns out it's a real thing. But I just thought, what does it say about us? And I think it was a product that solves a first world problem. Actually, I don't think it solves the problem at all, but it's clearly aimed at a first world problem. And I think it says something about the human state, that we actually seem to want to solve everything. I think that's a great thing. We wouldn't have made progress without wanting to solve everything. We wouldn't be landing things on satellites and going to the moon and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes I think it goes too far. So, taking out of the equation really the third world problems, because the third world problems are bigger than anything we can ever think of. You know, problems like not being able to have enough to eat, not being able to have good sanitation, be free from diseases and all that kind of thing. But we do seem to thrive on our first world problems too. So my old house, first house we ever bought, we decided to move out. I really wanted to leave because I was completely fed up with the place. There was nothing wrong with the house. House was lovely. There was nothing wrong with the place for the house. It was just the people who kept coming to visit. And I don't mean when your in-laws come round. I mean people coming to visit in the early hours of the morning and breaking in. And we would have it on at least a weekly basis, but usually 2 or 3 times a week. Somebody, one of our neighbours, would have their garage broken into. I remember the next door neighbour, they had their garage door, they put all extra strong bolts in it to stop it from being broken into. They hooked, and you couldn't open the door without unlocking all these bolts from the inside. And they had the garage broken into anyway, because they just came round with what they think must have been a car jack or something, and they folded the garage door in half and then ducked down and got under it and cleaned them out. Pretty miserable state of affairs when you're constantly expecting your garage or your home to be broken into. I mean, I remember it was New Year's Eve. I don't know if I've told this story before, so I'll do it quick. But New Year's Eve for the year 2000, the new millennium and all that stuff. Am I invisible? We actually thought our neighbour's house was being broken into. So we rang the police and said to them, look, I think our neighbour's has been broken into. And they said to us, well, sorry, we're too busy, there's nobody can come. And I said, that's alright, I'll go and have a look myself. I've got a bat. I didn't have a bat, but I took a frying pan just in case. And I went round out of our back garden into the neighbour's back garden, went and checked out the house, looked in the windows, all that kind of thing. And they weren't being broken into, everything was okay. Or if somebody might have been trying and then given up. And I turned round to walk back down the garden to leave, and there were 2 men stood at the end of the garden. And at first I thought, well, these must be the people who've been trying to break in. But it turned out it was 2 policemen. So it seems that they didn't have anybody to come and check if somebody was being burgled, but if somebody was attacking a burglar with a bat, or in my case a frying pan, well, that was definitely worthy of sending 2 policemen to. Make of that what you will. Anyway, that was our problem, and that, I think, is a decent sized problem. So we got fed up of it, got fed up of all the crime in the area, moved to an area that has got much lower crime, and hopefully will stay that way. And within weeks, we'd developed a new problem that was, well, for me, not as annoying, but Mrs. C found it annoying. She's the gardener amongst us. That the next door neighbour wasn't a particularly good driver. I can say this now because they've moved, so I won't upset the new neighbours. But they were such a bad driver, they couldn't get into their driveway without going over the corner of our garden. And they would run over our little bit of lawn out the front, and they just turned one corner of the lawn into a massive muddy mess. And to be fair, it was annoying. Not as annoying as being broken into, but it became that level of annoying. It's the way that the problems seem to increase. So we put some hedging in, and they managed to run that over as well. So that kind of, I don't know, it's the same for everybody. The problems seem to grow in your mind. You always have to have a problem to solve. But anyway, that brings me back to this advert that we saw, that Mrs. Calm said to me about, and we looked up on the internet and watched again. And this was for a real first world problem. And I urge you to look it up and tell me if you really think that this is a product that anybody needs. The product is called perfume. Kind of like perfume, but instead of per, it's poo. Perfume. And yes, it is as bad as the name suggests. It's an essential oil that before you go to the lavatoire, you spray onto the water, onto the surface of the water of your toilet, so that when you leave your package, I'm trying to be nice here. Yeah, would you mind? Thank you very much. Yeah, when you drop off your package at the pool, it emits a nice perfumey smell to cover up the smell of your deposit. Does anybody really need that? The advert, I mean, it was a proper Apprentice advert. If you ever watch The Apprentice when they make their TV adverts, it was that quality, so I really urge you to go and watch it, and I'll try and find it and put a link below, because it's awesome in its naffness. But yeah, first world problem. Has anybody, I challenge you now to tell me about a worse advert or a worse product in terms of first world problems. Has anybody got one they can point me at that will give me a bigger laugh than perfume? Because you don't want visitors being able to smell what you did. Yep. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon.